Most people struggle with manifestation for one simple reason. They're trying to use a technique that only really makes sense if consciousness is fundamental, while still secretly assuming that matter is fundamental. And if matter is the real foundation of reality, then manifestation will always feel a little absurd. It might feel emotionally comforting. It might feel motivational. It might even feel magical. But it won't feel deeply believable. That matters because belief is not a side issue here. Belief is the whole thing. If, beneath the surface, you still think you are a small mind trapped inside a large external universe made of dead matter, then every manifestation practice will feel like you're trying to push against a wall with your thoughts. You may repeat affirmations. You may visualize. You may try to feel as if your desire is already fulfilled. But part of you will still be thinking, yes, but how could that possibly affect the actual world out there? That hidden assumption quietly sabotages everything. Neville Goddard understood something a lot of modern manifestation content forgets. The method only really comes alive when you begin from a different picture of reality. Not consciousness as a tiny byproduct of the brain, but consciousness as primary. Consciousness as the field in which the whole drama appears. Consciousness as the deeper reality from which form arises. Once you start there, manifestation stops looking like wishful thinking and starts looking like participation. You are no longer a separate person trying to mentally influence an alien universe. You are consciousness, assuming a certain shape of experience. That doesn't mean the ego becomes an all-powerful little god. It means the world is not as external, fixed, and separate as we were taught to think. This is where I find the non-dual and idealist perspective so important, because it gives a stronger metaphysical foundation for manifestation than the usual law of attraction language. A lot of manifestation talk stays psychologically useful, but philosophically weak. It tells you to believe, but it doesn't really explain why belief should matter. It tells you to assume the wish fulfilled, but it doesn't tell you what sort of reality would make assumption causally meaningful. But if consciousness is the ground, then imagination is not merely fantasy. It is contact with a subtler layer of reality. It is participation in the inward side of the world. And if the inward side of reality is primary, then assumption is not delusion. It is alignment. This is also where the breathing infinite framework becomes useful. Reality has a breath in and a breath out. Breath in is the silent side, the inward side, the unformed, witnessing, luminous side of reality. Breath out is expression, embodiment, form, circumstance, action, relationship, the visible world. Manifestation becomes distorted when we split those two. If we live only in breath out, we become materialists. We think only the visible world is real, and then manifestation sounds impossible. If we live only in breath in, We may touch silence, but we can become suspicious of desire, form, and expression. Then we may understand truth, but never allow that truth to move into life. The real power is in the integration. Manifestation becomes easier when the inward and outward are no longer enemies, when being and becoming are not split, when the silent depth of consciousness is allowed to move into assumption, identity, feeling, and expression. In that sense, living in the end is not just a mental trick. It is a way of allowing breath in to shape breath out. It is letting the deeper level of reality inform the visible one. That also explains why manifestation fails so often. People try to manipulate outcomes while remaining inwardly divided. They say they want love, but inhabit abandonment. They say they want wealth, but are loyal to scarcity. They say they want freedom, but keep narrating themselves as trapped. The outer effort and the inner assumption contradict one another. And because the inner level is deeper, it usually wins. This is why Neville placed so much emphasis on feeling. Not because emotion is magic by itself, but because feeling reveals what state you are actually inhabiting. Your state is your lived assumption. And your lived assumption is far more creative than your occasional hopeful thought. So the work is not to strain harder. It is to become more inwardly coherent, to see what reality you are actually consenting to notice the identity you keep returning to become intimate with the assumptions beneath your reactions, and then, gently but steadily, to inhabit a deeper one. Not frantically, not theatrically, not as spiritual performance, but as a re-education of being. That is why I think manifestation becomes more frequent and more natural when it is grounded in a consciousness-first understanding of reality. Because then you are no longer trying to force mind over matter. You are learning to participate more consciously in a reality that is already mind-like at its root. And when that becomes clear, manifestation stops feeling like an exotic power. It starts feeling like a lawful expression of what reality has been doing all along. If you want, I can make more videos exploring this from different angles: Neville, non-duality, idealism, desire, resistance, and why assumption works when consciousness is primary.